Hi guys, welcome to this week's meeting. How are you all doing?
Good.
Oh, great. Thanks for
Thanks,
that.
Grant.
Good,
Yeah.
Philip. Yeah.
So I'm just going to take us through the agenda of the last meeting before we get stuck into David's presentation and our presentation on the Clean Up Dublin. So I'll just find the agenda now. There we are. So can we confirm a minute taker for today?
Yeah, that's me, Pat. I'll be the minute taker.
Great. Any issues arising from the minutes from the last meeting, or any issues from the last meeting at all that anyone would like to air?
Oh, from this side.
Nothing from me, no.
No.
No, we agreed on we brainstormed and no, good session. Nothing, no, it's fine.
Yeah, the brainstorming session that we did went well, and
Yeah.
the planning poker I thought was really good as well for reaching consensus on the idea that we're going to present.
Yeah.
So well done, everyone. So we're going to go into the presentation now, and David's
So,
going to lead that.
yeah, and everybody has a link now to the presentation that we've sent out in advance, so you guys can see what I'm about to reveal to you. But anyway, we shall go through it anyway. It's the Web Sculptors plan to tidy up Dublin city centre, and so we reached an agenda. So we wanted, and the kind of novel strategy that we adopted was to tidy up Dublin one street at a time. And we wanted to create competition among business owners across the city centre to better manage and keep the streets clean and attractive to customers, members of the public, and importantly also tourists. Second item on the agenda, which was the second in priority, was to involve the business owners, members of Garda Síochána, and members of the public, job seekers, and Dublin City Council. And we felt that job seekers with particular skills could be given an extra 50 or euro a week or thereabouts to help out. And maybe it would be in their own area, their own street, and it would be to their own benefit to make their own area look nicer, and also give them, maybe you could learn new skills also. And we wanted to devise a plan to address the ever-increasing amount of derelict and to-let and dysfunctional buildings and shabby facades that exist across the centre of Dublin. And if you find some way that we could address that really in our tidying up the street, or tidying up the Dublin city centre one street at a time. So we identified 6 different types of stakeholders. So Dublin Council, members of the public, businesses, offices, shops, tourists, public transport, and Garda Síochána. And these stakeholders all have expectations and of things that they would like to see happen as a result of our agenda. And Dublin Council are increased, of course, with monetary items. We want to increase in revenue on tidy streets, and which would be beneficial to a lot of people. Increase in visitor numbers, and would make it more marketable and visible presence on social media. And we will have a very high social media profile actually from the very start. The competition will be on social media. Dublin Council will be giving a certain section of their website to advertise the Clean and Tidy Up Dublin Centre campaign. And we'll have Facebook pages and also Twitter hashtags where you can interact with us. And interaction with the public and feedback is kind of part of the agile approach that we've taken to organising our strategy. Really is that we will go a certain extent and get feedback from the stakeholders and decide what way to move forward then. So members of the public were concerned with safety and security, mainly in visiting the city centre, and they would like to be encouraged to visit areas of Dublin which would have previously considered out of bounds, maybe due to crime and antisocial behaviour. And they would be encouraged to spend in previously out of bounds areas too. So this could be beneficial for the economy overall. So for businesses, offices and shops, they would see an increase in footfall of customers. Their expectations would be this, and they would expect to see an increase in potential revenue generated from this increased footfall. And of course, they'd like to be shortlisted for the streets in the competition feature, which we're going to run across the internet media and also across social media on the internet. So it would be like a kudos and a feather in their cap if they were to be, if that street were to win, and maybe their business were to be recommended as having a particularly attractive facade and having done a lot to present itself. Now, on to tourists again. Who are a very important stakeholder also. They would like to feel safe and secure just as members of the public would, and they'd like to be impressed with Dublin. We'd like to impress them with Dublin too. Make it tourists will have less tourist traps, so we'll take them out of the more frequented central areas, which are more expensive, and would encourage them to visit more new places. And they would, again, repeat business. They would be inclined to revisit and also to recommend it to friends and family, like us on Facebook, and recommend certain hotels in certain areas and what they did. And public transport would, again, expecting an increase in passenger numbers and the frequency of services and in better customer relationships with customers who felt that services weren't regular enough in their area. And Garda would, of course, be looking for a decrease in antisocial behaviour and crime. They have a better idea of what streets are now safer than before, because we're doing it on a street-by-street basis. They will have metrics by which they can measure how safe streets have become. They can redeploy the resources, because the Garda are sorely pressed now at the moment. They can resources areas which are more needed. So now, we moved now on to the strategic targets that we have set. So increased engagement on social media with members of the public. So this is how we're going to measure, this is the metric by how we're going to measure success or not in our strategic targets, whether we are reaching them. And again, it's a very agile approach. We're going to have frequent surveys and examine social media reaction. So it will increase coverage in the media of the campaign and the competition for the tidiest street as time goes on. So over the course of a year, we probably would hope to, tidy up several well-known streets in the centre. So it could be quite a bit of competition, maybe north side, south side divide kind of competition would be good, healthy, tidy towns type initiative. And stakeholder satisfaction that can be measured again by regular monthly surveys and meetings. So these strategic targets, whether we're meeting them or whether we're not, do we need to change tack slightly? Again, constant feedback. So members of the public, with a reduction in levels of crime, muggings, theft of mobile phones, etc. Reduction in aggressive begging would be a target for them, and increased confidence and safety in visiting the city centre. So business, offices, shops, of course, again would be monetary, fiscal nature. They would be interested in increasing revenue, and this, of course, would be measured against previous year's earnings for shops, and all shops keep these type of notes, so they'd know exactly how much of an increase or a decrease in business had been experienced over a particular period, even compared day by day with this day last year or month. Increase in potential revenue also generated by increased footfall, or the expected increased footfall, and positive publicity in winning the title of Dublin's tidiest street again. This is the accolades, the personal accolades they might be interested in making themselves more attractive to the public and giving them a higher profile. Tourists now again would be looking for, like members of the general public, an enhanced, safe and secure experience for tourists in Dublin city centre, measures against survey crime statistics and feedback from local businesses based on our surveys and what it goes on in social networking. They would feel safer, tourists would, and more confident in visiting some of Dublin's less celebrated streets and districts. So it would increase the number of areas that tourists currently, more than the small number of areas they currently visit when they visit Dublin, get them out of Temple Bar and places like that. And again, repeat business, they would be more encouraged to revisit Dublin and recommend it to their family, friends on websites maybe like TripAdvisor, and again the social media networks. So public transport would have the benefit of an increase in revenue. Again, this would be an important metric for public transport. Again, and they can measure this again against previous records of previous year, previous months, previous weeks. The frequency of services will have increased, and they will be able to provide new services previously unserviced areas, or ones that were under-serviced. Customer relations will be better because the customer would feel that we're being looked after better, and services were better on home for their particular destinations. And all of the above, of course, because public transport keep very detailed records. These are, again, are metrics that can be very strenuously and rigorously measured against previous records. So strategic target for the Garda Síochána would be an increase in antisocial crime. And this, again, measured against Garda Pulse systems, figure and statistics, which again is very extensive and reliable. And again, it would give members of Garda Síochána more information about which areas of the street need more of a Garda presence than others. And it would get this from feedback of members of the public and members of the business community in Dublin city centre. Newly tidy areas would require less resources, and it would allow the Garda to then to redeploy their resources in areas which are more of a need of a Garda presence. So strategic plan, getting back to our kind of USP, or our unique selling point, was that we were going to clean up Dublin, or to tidy up Dublin city centre one street at a time. So we have priorities: time, people, cost, who's responsible, and how we review things, how we know how things are going, metrics, the all-important metrics of how we measure things. So we were going to start off with a few streets and a period of 3 months, and consider that to be a sprint, as it were, as you know, getting back to the agile terminology. So our priorities were Parnell Street, followed by Cable Street, Fleet Street, Temple Bar. We estimated a period of time of about 3 months for that plan from the moment of inception to the moment of completion. The people involved would be, of course, Dublin City Council and stakeholders. We would be offices, shops, and other interested parties, probably job seekers and liaison officers. Okay, costs. Now, back to the monetary aspect. Dublin City Council will fund the refurbishment costs for derelict buildings and general costs for decor and repair of the area. Stakeholders we would hope fund refurbishment of their own premises, out of their own pockets, encouraged by the council that will generate more revenue and return in a short time. So it's 50-50 type thing. The stakeholders of offices and shops will have to play ball with us, and we play ball with them by cleaning up the street and making sure everything is clean and tidy and safe there. And so responsible Dublin City Council will provide a liaison officer. Again, this is our feedback loop to manage the upkeep of the street and the derelict premises with the aid of council workers and, again, job seekers who may be interested in learning new skills. Also be a liaison officer to work with stakeholders and giving advice to local businesses on how to integrate themselves into the Tidy Streets initiative. So, as we're dealing with a new concept, metrics will have to be reviewed on a month-by-month basis. Again, using the agile approach, that nothing should be written in stone. Really, we should be looking for constant feedback. So we carried out a high-level risk assessment, or at least part of the agenda was, or the overall agenda was, that we would look at, consider what could cause our plan to go off track, what could be dysfunctional about our plan, what could make it explode, for example. So incidents that we consider low risk would be probably green events. Medium risk events are the ones that may be likely, are amber, and ones that we consider really high risk that are next to impossible. We consider them as like red, maybe terrorist attacks or something like that. So we conducted the worst case scenario plan based around this high level risk assessment, and we thought that an amber level risk to our plans and strategies might be industrial action on parts of the member of Garda Síochána, which would be fairly unprecedented but not totally unlikely. Public transport workers may be slightly more likely, public service workers in Dublin City Council, and we considered that to be an amber level medium risk to what our plans would be, which could knock our time schedule out of kilter slightly. But then again, we could redeploy resources from other areas to compensate for that. So again, the second one really is like a unexpected event, as per Nassim Nicholas Taleb's Black Swan theory from circa 2010. So eruptions or events such as the eruption of that volcano with the unpronounceable name in Iceland, which happened in 2010, that was a really unexpected event, unforeseen, unprecedented. So, and the terrorist event maybe in Dublin would be something of that caliber too. So we would consider these to be very low level risk of this kind of thing happening, which is good for Dublin overall, really. And then worst case scenario plan would be where maybe there might be closures for protests, like there have been anti-water protests recently, and there are protests from time to time about various issues that people have. Lewis Cross City Centre road works might be ongoing, which they are at the moment, and Lewis Arpos are in actions that might prevent ease of access to given streets. And that kind of thing is considered really amber and low level medium risk. So that was really the plan that we came up with. So that's our plan to clean up Dublin City Centre. So I'll open it up now to the rest of the board here if they have any questions. Myself, I'll be only too happy to answer them if we can. So thanks very much, guys, for listening to my presentation here.
Okay, guys, any questions on that? Any thoughts, any ideas?
No, that was great. Yeah.
Are we finished recording now?
Thanks.
No, we're not. No.
I think that was very good. It's well thought out, and I like the way you're involving the unemployed as well, because obviously, if they have skills in this area, they can contribute. You know.
Do you want to just flesh it out, David? Do you want to just maybe explain where job seekers would come into it?
Yeah, well, job seekers would come in, and we were hoping maybe that it would be job seekers from the area which is being newly gentrified, that it would attract them but really we looked at it like as a local initiative, and again we were looking at I suppose looking at the bigger picture, that who stakeholders should be, and of course job seekers could be stakeholders, and would enable them to earn an extra few quid apart from what they're earning at the moment on the dole, possibly get full-time employment or part-time employment also, and learn new skills and just keep themselves busy while they are in the process of looking for hopefully and seeking full-time employment. Yeah, so we just it was an idea that we came up with, and we hope that will be successful. We will encourage definitely job seekers to become part of the initiative. I think will be a very useful thing. So
I just had one other point then, guys.
Sure.
I suppose in these recessionary times, I suppose it's how it's going to be funded, and some of the business people might take the attitude, well why should I bother? Like, I'm barely keeping the doors open as it is, So I suppose that's a risk as well, isn't it?
It is. Okay, that is a potential risk that but we had hoped that, like, doing it one street at a time, that we could at least persuade one street to do it, and then, like, the metrics by which we could measure the increase in revenue for them might encourage us again. This regular feedback loop,
That's a good point,
we don't quite know again, Pat, really what way it will go. So we have to be like nimble and agile and constant feedback to see how it is going. Are the stakeholders really going to buy into this? We hope they will. We'll encourage them and urge them, and if there are any grants available for them and what have you, our liaison officers will be taking this up with them if they feel that there should be given some kind of a grant or a financial incentive to help tidy up their shop front, their own individual shop front. It will be. We're open to offers on that. All right. Yeah. So. Yeah. No, but it's a valid point. All right. Thanks for bringing that up, Pat.
No, it's very good.
I think if you deal with the council, with the liaison officer, and work on one step at a time, one small step at a time, one area at a time.
Yeah.
Put resources there, then you can get a positive feedback loop, and I think that's what you're looking for on it. So that'd be the way to do it. All right, small steps, small improvements. Doesn't have to cost too much. Just small improvements.
Yeah.
And get a positive feedback go on it. And that has a good chance there.
Yeah.
Plus, keep as I said, small steps. Quick feedback, tangible results. That's really what you want to be looking at.
And decide on what direction you're going to take based on the feedback too. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So, do you have any comments there, Elizabeth? Do you want to have any questions that you might need to ask about our plan?
No, I think it looks good. It seems like
Okay,
you have
thank you.
a strategy that you go
Yeah,
with.
we did. Yeah, we spent a bit of an agenda and a strategy, and hopefully it will work out. Yeah. So over to Filippo. Is he?
Hey guys, so you're all happy enough with that? Any no other questions or comments at all?
Everybody had their questions and they were answered hopefully to their satisfaction. But like I was saying to Owen and to Pat and to Elizabeth, and mentioned several times earlier, like the approach is agile that we are taking, and it is like Pat was saying. How do we know that the stakeholders, particularly shops and offices, are going to pay ball by spending money maybe on an unknown quantity, such as will business be increased if I splash out this amount of money on gentrifying my facade? So, but again, if we do it like one street at a time, one business at a time, even, the metrics, we should be able to show that to others and hopefully convince them of the workability of the plan.
I think the way you persuade them really is by measurability. As you said, by doing it one street at a time. If you do one street really, really well at the start, and have it transparent, show the measurability of their success, and as you said, financial records, things like that, you will persuade over time with other
definitely, well, that's definitely the way forward in encouraging the business community to take part in this, and to and to maybe not to be too hurt by putting up the initial cost that it will take to get into the scheme, but it will pay off in the long run, I hope. So will we call that a conclusion to the meeting, Mr. Chairman, until the next one, which we'll meet in a week's time, is it?
Next meeting will be in a week's time, same place, and I'll send on a link. I'll send on an agenda a few days beforehand.
Okay.
And we'll review this meeting and we'll
discuss where we are. Well, we will have started implementing parts of it that we can, and we will discuss the stage that we're at.
I'll get the minutes out hopefully tomorrow, guys. Okay.
Great. So
thanks
very much.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much for that. And,
thank you all.
Okay.
Thanks,
David.
Bye-bye.
Okay, listen, I'll say I'll talk to Philip for a bit. Okay, guys, thanks very much for turning up, right?
Okay.
Bye-bye.